Heavenly Father, we thank you, oh God, for this opportunity to get together, oh God, and we thank you for these men and young ladies that come out, Father God, and we thank you for all the servants in the area, all the community leaders. We know, Father God, that together we can collaborate and make a difference in our community. Help us and give us wisdom and knowledge, oh God, to go forth, oh God, and bless these young people and sow into them, oh God. The crime and the gun violence is wrapping our communities, oh God. Help us to find solutions, oh God, that we can come up with ways, oh God, and come up with ideas that we can solve these problems.
Yes,
Thank you, oh God, for what you're about to do in this community meeting, oh God, and help us, oh God, to understand what we're doing as a unit, that we can make a difference. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Amen, amen, and amen. So as I want to thank each and every one of you all for coming out today, because I'm sure there's many things you all could be doing, but you chose to come out here. And so as you all know, we got so much going on in our community, man. It's not enough to just sit back and say somebody needs to do something. You know, if you say that somebody needs to do something, that means God done touch your heart to be that somebody. You know, so that's where, you know, like we had a saying that used to say back in the day, say everybody's sitting around waiting on somebody when anybody can do it, and nobody wind up doing it. And so, you know, like, and it don't take smart, you know, to do anything that needs to be done for God. God don't you just sit back and just see how wise and how smart you are, because I know, like me myself, I'm not the brightest man in the world. I'm not trying to be the brightest man in the world. I'm just trying to make a difference, trying to make impact. Because as we look around and we see what's going on in the world, there's so many of our youth. We're losing too many of our youth now, man. You know, and it hurt, and we got to be able to come up. So I pray each and every night that God give me an idea or something, drop something in my head, download something into my head that be able to make a huge difference, not just to make a difference in my family, to make a difference in other people's family. So that's like how you all hear me say on numerous occasions, you know, like if you're not mentoring a young black male in today's world, you're doing the black race a disservice. But you know, you can mentor anybody. We're not racist, we don't not prejudiced, anything like that. But well, as we all know that our black kids, they in dire need of help. They're on life support. And so we got to do all we can, and we got to step out the game. We can't just keep sitting back talking about, like I said earlier, somebody needs to do something. So you be that somebody. So like I say, if you're not mentoring a young black male in today's world, you're doing the black race a disservice. I don't care if you got 10 young males in your household that you're raising yourself. And if you still have room for one more, because the one across the street, he may not have a role model in his life. The one down the street, he might not have no role model, no male figure in his life. And those be the ones that'll come and affect your household, because they get jealous and envy of your kids, and they'll affect your household. So we got to be a community person. We got to do all we can, you know, to be able to save our youth, man. It just really grieved me to my heart when that last rapper that got killed, when that Takeoff, that Takeoff, when that just really done something to me when I heard that. And I said, man, we got to do a Black and Not Crime event. Bring a bunch of guys together, because everybody in here knows something that the other person don't know, and God drop ideas and things in your head. So we really just come together and just talk about it, not just talk about it, implement it, you know, because we got to implement it. So that's why I got the pad. I want somebody that's good with taking notes, because if I take notes, and by the time it get cold, I won't know what it is. And so I want somebody to take notes. I see Bill Jackson there, he got his pen pad out to take notes. And so we're going to be able to, you know, come up with the best ideas.
I was voluntold.
That's a new one, man.
And so I just pray, hope each and everybody come up with something, and we're going to come up with the best idea, or 2 or 3 ideas, whatever. We're going to continue to try to put it together and implement it and move forward. Because next year, like I say, we got quite a few things we want to do next year. Not that we want to do. Next year we're going to do. We're going to do a men's conference. First time we ever did a men's conference. We've been doing the father and son of Red Talent Lunch for about the past 10 years. And we're going to do a men's conference this year. God dropped that in my spirit. I spoke at a men's conference as I was sitting at the table talking to some of the other brothers and everything. God dropped it in my spirit. You know how when the Lord quicken your spirit, you jump. Whoa. He said, I want you to do a men's conference. And then like a few weeks ago, and he told me he wanted me to add the youth to it. So we'll talk about that as well too, that maybe we'll do something maybe with the youth Friday night, and then the males that Saturday. But we'll talk, and maybe we'll bring it together in some kind of way. So that's what we got to come together, just talk about it. And so there's a lot of work we're doing, and we're gonna And I said the first 10 men that came in here today, we're going to have you all come to the company free. You know. And so I appreciate you guys, man. I'm not kind of just you. I'm not trying to get nothing from you. I'm going to get something to you. Like I said, we got a lot of work to do in there, and we got to be willing to put the boots on the ground to get the work done. And so I'm asking each and everybody that can and will, like you all know, I don't like talking money. I don't like talking money. If anybody can will, you know, asking everybody that can and will, you know, give a donation to it, because I got to take care of this right here, you know, then as you can, just whatever you can do, whatever, and it be going for a good cause. And then next year, like I said, we're going to be going, next year we're going to take the kids to Florida somewhere. We're going to find an A and B, you know, somewhere with a swimming pool and a basketball court. And then we're going to just let the kids enjoy themselves, and we're going to pour into them, impact them with knowledge. And we're going to start working more on them with financial literacy, and you know, search that we're going to working with us on such and that. And so we got a lot of work because that's what the problem. They do a lot of these things because they seeking funding. But you can't do nothing without money. Everybody needs money. You got to have money. That's what I think it was Dave Davenport said. Money's not everything, but it's right up there with oxygen. You know, we got to have it. We got to have it. We can't do without it. Free.
I wanted to thank y'all for coming out, Force of One. And our mission is to bring experts entrepreneurs from around the world to share information that elevates capital consciousness in our community. For the past 12 years now, we have a signature event called the Father and Son Red Tie Luncheon, where we bring together fathers and sons, grandfathers and grandsons, mentors and mentees for the sole purpose of connection. And so, Frank, you didn't introduce me. You just said Frank. You always ready, right? And so with that, some of the activities that we have, one is the breaking of the bread. So we bring together young men and as well as experienced men, small business owners, mentors, and mentees. And so when they get together, they can share their hurt, their past, their pain in a safe atmosphere, which allows them to be transparent with each other. And with that, through collaboration, allows them to heal each other. And with the fathers and sons, we have a particular activity that allows the fathers and sons to deepen their relationship that goes beyond parenting. And so with that, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor to serve in this organization along with, as a partner with Dr. Frank. And we are excited for y'all to be here. Continue to support us both with your time, talent, as well as your treasure. And so we can continue to make the impact in the youth that we are called to do as a mission. And one of the things that Dr. Frank discusses is that, you know, if someone is in of need, especially particularly in the youth, all the statistics that are out there, right? Then it's our job as a community to reach one and teach one. And it sounds like a cliche, but the real action of that is that being able to meet them where they are and to give them exposure to love, give them exposure to a different environment, which allows them to have a different mindset on how they view life. And when they have a different mindset on how they view life, then it gives them a ability to actually dream, to achieve, to progress. One of the things that with me, and I'll close with this, is that coming from the inner city, is that I didn't know what was actually out there. I didn't know the opportunities that was out there. So as being a person that came out of the actual hood and seeing the impact that we're making now, is that when you actually expose children, or you expose the youth, or you can talk to a young man and look them in the eye, shake their hand, or you can actually drop some knowledge and wisdom that actually change and transform their life, then that I consider that as a success. I consider that as building community. If you can give somebody access, community, and exposure, or access to capital, and you give them exposure, and you have a collaboration around that, then anything is actually possible with us. So as a community, I ask is that we continue to connect, we continue to build, and we continue to progress so that we can close the disparities of the wealth gap, but also we can actually build things that will have generational flow in our families as well as our communities. Dr. Frank?
Amen.
Yes,
Amen. All right. All right, I appreciate that. Talk to us.
All right, repeat after me. Together we stand.
Together we stand.
Divided we fall.
Divided we
One
fall.
more time. Together we stand.
Together we stand.
Divided we fall.
Divided we fall.
A house divided would not stand. And that goes for any organization, any marriage, any union, any nation. And we're gonna self-destruct if we don't get together and come up with concrete solutions. And I believe in communicating and collaborating. My name is Tracy Carter. I've been a part of the Force of One since 2012. And Uncle Frank had an idea and a dream to go out and mentor young people, and that was right down my alley. And so I went with him in Paulding County Middle School, and he mentored these young people, and I said, wow, I could do that. And so we went over to Powder Springs. This young boy he killed 2 boys in the back of Tap Middle School back in 2014. And that inspired me to go and find out how can we start a mentoring program in that area. And so now we're at the Ron Anderson building every Friday, mentoring the young people there. And so that's what we do. We go out and we go to different communities, and we go out and try to build these young people up. And our foundation is called Self-Development. And we try to teach them young people about how to deal with anger, how to deal with conflict, self-image, so anything dealing with self-improvement. And we got to let them know that they can value themselves. And once they know about self-value, they'll feel good about themselves. So that's what we try to do in our community. And I thank God for Dr. Frank and the vision that he has. We got a conference called every Tuesday night. I moderate the call. And it's called the Hour of Power. We empower one another. All men from all over the country. We come together and come up with ideas and impact one another. And so we got to continue to do that. Uncle Frank always say that the power is not in the wolf, but the power is in the pack. Ain't that right?
That's right.
Once men get together and have the same kind of ideas, that we can go out and make a difference. And I found out during the years and through the years that young people look for they look for real, and you got to be genuine, and you got to commit to what you're doing. Don't start nothing and don't finish it with them, because they look for genuine.
Yes, sir.
And so look down the road and make sure that if you're getting into mentoring these young people, that you're committed. All right. God bless you. I'm also I work over at the Sweetwater Mission, and I just got voted in as the chairman of the board there. So,
Congratulations.
So God bless you as we continue to do work in the community. Let's come up with concrete ideas so we can make a difference. All right?
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. We'll say that. Go ahead.
Tell them about the Facebook page to follow us.
Oh, go
What's
ahead.
my Facebook page?
Go ahead.
Oh, me? All right.
Yeah.
So just take out your phone if you mind. Just follow us on the
No, that's
Force.
not my department.
No. Just follow us on Force of One Facebook page. It's the numerical 1, not the letter 1 or the word 1. And just follow us. We have it's about over 300 some videos on different topics, on different speakers, and you get a chance to know us as an organization too as well. Question.
Is that the only platform that you guys are on?
We're on Instagram too as well. Same thing, Force of One.
Force of One Media. At Force of One Media.
Yeah.
At Force of One Media?
Yes.
Yeah. Force of One. Thank you, Sharon.
Yep.
Force of One Media.
See, I'm not that social media stuff. I'm learning. I'm not gonna give up. I'm learning. So don't give up on me. Just hang in there. I'm gonna ask this young lady to come up and have a word right quick, then we'll move on, then have the officers to come. And by the way, Craig not gonna be able to make it, guys. He had death and some in his family and this and that, so he's not gonna be able to make it. So I hope y'all don't get up and walk out, because Craig not gonna be here. So I'm gonna ask this young lady. This young lady, she's been on our platform a couple times. She was on the other week. Why this right here is so vital and important. You gotta come up with ideas to stop it.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
My name is Yashika Caffey. I am here because I believe I've always been a part of what the youth, years ago, I worked with youth in group homes. I myself was a youth in group homes, and I know what that looks like. Unfortunately, my son wasn't a street guy, and I say that not to say that only street guys die, because that's not it. But my son he was 29 years old, and he was a manager at the Hyatt downtown, and unfortunately for him, I guess his time was up. It was almost as if he knew he was going to die, and he went out in the community where we lived in West Midtown, walked into the garage, and unfortunately a man took his life, put 7 bullets in him because he happened to be walking by at the wrong time. It was a very sad situation. I haven't questioned God not once about it, but my pain that I feel in losing my child, it's very fresh, it's very new, but I find the strength that surpasses all understanding for myself. And I believe that God put me and kept me here. I was standing outside when my son got murdered and never heard the gunshots because the alarms were going off. There were so many things that I felt that God protected me. Seeing his body, there was no blood, but he had 7 bullets put in him. I have pictures. It was just, it was a spiritual as well as the worst tragedy that a mother could feel. I did have a child that was in the streets, and for years I thought that I would be burying him, but I buried the one that wasn't, and it was crazy. But I'm here today because I heard Dr. Frank say to somebody about a blackout event, and anything that's dealing with the youth, anything that will allow my son's name to live on, that I can do to help stop the violence, that's why I'm here. I want to be a part of anything that will allow me to help the youth to see that one, Christ is real, whatever that is and whatever that looks like to you, that my tragedy may be healing for someone else, because not everybody is strong. I have my days where it's really hard, but I push forward. I buried my son on a Friday and went back to work on a Tuesday because I had to find normalcy. Nobody could understand that. Why are you here? Nobody could completely empathize, but I wasn't looking for empathy. I was looking for the strength that I wear every day. In this little cheap little thing, it says strength, and that's where I pull my strength from, God. So I have to be strong, and to see that you guys are doing something powerful in the community, whether it's 5, whether it's 10, or whether it's 1, I want to be a part so that I could do my part as a mother. And I hear you guys saying a lot because this is a men's event, but there are some traumatized young girls. My son was murdered on his daughter's 6th birthday, and she's gonna live with a trauma of that will serve. I can't even explain it. I'm only still in Georgia because of her. I buried my son in Georgia because of her, because this is not where we're from. We're from New York, but if I would have took him, I would have traumatized her more. So I refuse to leave this town. I'm gonna see justice happen, because the man, they do know who did it. Unfortunately, he's out on bail right now. It's just a part of what the system is, innocent until proven guilty. So I have to live with that. I have to walk the streets and know that. And I'm okay with that, because I know God is my protection, and I know God is going to see justice. But I want to be a part of anything that allows us to build our communities, to build our children, to let our children know that there are people out here, because it does take a community. When I was growing up, they used to say it takes a village to raise children, to raise a child, and that has fell by the wayside. You know, I'll be 50 this year, and I promise you, it's been a long time before I've seen any kind of village raise anybody. And I'm just ready for that, and I want to be a part of anything that's going to allow our children to have some type of success. And success is not always equated to money. It's equated to, like he said, if I could just get one person and I can give them some wisdom, and I can mentor them, and I can see them move forward in a positive light, then that's success, and that's what I want to be a part of. And that's why I'm here, gentlemen. Thank you for having me.
Okay, well, everyone, good morning.
Good morning.
I see Dr. likes putting me on the spot, telling me what to do, so I guess I just got to assume this role here.
But my name is James Jackson. I am originally my family's from Mississippi, and then raised in St. Louis. And I met Dr. Frank just walking through the cafeteria, I believe. But that is true. My son was murdered, and it's funny because when it happens, Kathy, I remember you was on the podcast. But it's funny because your imagination is so strong that you don't physically have to be in a place to see a person hurting after you've had a relationship, because your imagination will help you see what you can't see, but you can see it. And so, there were conversations that I had with my son. I remember the last one that I had with him that was most meaningful. And I think in that conversation, I told him, Doctor, just some of the choices that he was making, but I allowed him to see what he was surrounded by. And I told him, I'm from St. Louis, and no disrespect, but we was told to stay away from officers, and especially if they were white. And so I wanted to make sure that I shake your hand, because that's just not my mind frame. And so I remember having a conversation with him, Mr. Raymond, and I said to him, I said, son, let's look at what you're doing. I said, you're surrounded by success, but I said, you've been afforded an opportunity to live, but you want to survive. And you don't have the tools to know how to even do simple things, Jordan. Like, you don't even know how to park in a apartment complex, kids, because they, I do, Dad, I'm with. I said, Jordan, what you pull in? And I looked at him on the video, and at that time, that's when the tear fell, and I said, Jordan, you backing me, son. You never let anybody come in behind you. So for me, when I talked to the detective, I said to him, I said, I gotta see him. Because when I see my kids, I got to kiss them, hug. It didn't matter how big it was, that's my son. And he said, Mr. Jackson, you can't do this. And I said, well, it doesn't matter, I need to see him. And he said, Mr. Jackson, it's been 23, 24 years for me, and I've not seen this one. And I said, well, what the hell happened? And he said, there were 3 different bullet casings at the scene. I said, 3 people were shooting my baby? And so the pain went from shallow to now it hurt, then it became angry. And I don't even know how many times they shot him, but when I saw the car, they came up behind him. And in my mind, when I saw it on the news, I was just like, damn it, you just didn't listen. And I, there's some things, but I said to him before that, I said, Jordan, let's look at your life. I said, son, you live in the suburbs. The guys you're hanging with, you don't even look like them. You don't live like them. You don't talk like them. As a matter of fact, Jordan, they all short. You were 6'3", 6'4". Number 4 in the country football, just got everything on track. Got back on honor roll, sent videos. He's happy. And I said to him, I said, Jordan, listen, your dad is a principal. Your mom's a doctor. You have 2 sisters in medical school, 2 in gifted school. Your stepfather's an accountant. You're surrounded by success. And this is what you said. And I remember saying to him, I said, Jordan, listen, whatever you do, I said, Jordan, don't make me bury my son. And then he looked at me and it became real to him right there. So he's crying and I'm crying. And I said, look at you, it's Wednesday. You're supposed to be at school. I'm looking at you on the video and you got a girl laying in the bed. What are you doing? Well, they won't let me come back from football. And I can tell you the story, but I don't want to go through it and take up so much time. But I'm going to tell you, there's nothing like a phone call. This street, it could be filled with cars. And when I heard that on the phone, I heard nothing. And that's the first time I heard noise and silence. I heard nothing. And I'm not gonna lie to you, that was Thursday. I got on the highway, I was solemn. By the time I got there, that was a Thursday, Friday afternoon, I'm a street kid. We grew up St. Louis. Like, we don't brag. This is just what it is. I knew the addresses, I knew the mother's addresses, I knew that the dad had a car that had just got on the flat. He took one of the 24-inch rims off of a brown Suburban. I pieced it I knew it. So if I didn't need the police, I never called the police. We don't call the police where I'm from. So with that was in June, and the last conversation we had was the last week of June, and I was burying him. The last conversation I had with him was the last week of May, and I was burying him the next month. And I don't, there's still a lot of process, and sometimes you're hurt, sometimes you're angry. There's still mornings where you get up, and my house, God first and foremost, and my wife have become my safe space. And sometimes, even if I'm at work, I still got to go to a corner for just a little while. And I don't know if I showed him. I was sitting at work and I was just doing my Christmas list, and I'm writing down stuff for the kids, and it didn't even dawn on me that I had written all the stuff that I thought that he would have wanted. And so it just messed up my whole week. It was Monday. I couldn't wait till Friday because I just needed to kind of get away from it, But if there's ever questions that you guys will have about, how you process, and I always say this: men compartmentalize, ladies departmentalize. You ever see a woman? They be cooking, paying the bills over here, got the baby going, talking to the school teacher over here, because they can work in those compartment. Men, if we working on the car on Saturday, we working on the car on Saturday. That's what and so pain is like that. And so pain is for us, we put it here. And so I don't even know you, but because of the pain that I've had, there's no logic to pain. And so what happens is, for me, it's like this, and this is why I have to be careful. If somebody step on your toe the wrong way and it hurts, you're not getting this pain from my toe. You're getting all this pain in this box. And so it's a daily process of trying to understand, how do you deal with this hurt? Sometimes when my wife, baby, is anything I can do? Baby, I don't know what I can do. That's just how, that's the depth of it. So I'm open, for any questions or, whatever. I just think, this is year 23, 24 for me in the schools. I started in the Providences over in Canada. And I always say, it was always passion for me. And now it's personal. Because I had to bury one. And people can always say, I'm praying for you, brother. I can say, I'm praying for you, brother. It's all right, you'll be all right. But damn, now it's mine. You know what I'm saying? So if there's any questions or, whatever, I don't want to give you a whole life spiel, but, I'm open for, whatever questions that you may have.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
So my name is LaTarge Johnson. I'm the assistant for Sheriff Craig Owens, and Dr. Frank said that Sheriff's not gonna make it. So it's twofold. His wife's brother died Monday of this week. So they've, as a family, been dealing with that. And then the second thing is he is part of the Cobb delegation, and they had a vote this morning. So I think time-wise it was tight. There was no way in the world that he would have made it out, but of course he sends his regrets. And then for you guys, when I was like, oh my gosh, he's not gonna make it. What are we gonna do? And typically, the sheriff adjutant would have been the person that would have made it. That's his right hand man. Well, he had to go pick up his kid from college because everybody knows finals finished this week, and now you're dismissed. So he had to go get this, and then the chief of staff is a military. He's a major in the military, so he had military duty. And I called Dr. Frank. I was like, oh, we got the women. So we got left. I was like, I'll be more than happy to come. He said, well, you come on. And I was like, well, I'll be there. But listen to you guys. So I got up this morning, as I do every morning. I'm praying, okay, like, Jesus, I don't know what you got, but I'm going. And oddly enough, what I do have is a list and gamut of resources. When you're talking about finding money, we partner. People come all day, every day, trying to figure out what they can do with the sheriff's office. So I have a list, a myriad of partners. Likewise, having come from where I came from, my son's father died. I told him earlier when he was 13, but when he was in 2013, my son was 8, and so he was put into a program called Hope Farm. I was just looking for resources.
What is it called?
Hope Farm. Google it, look it up, look at what they're doing. It's in Fort Worth, Texas. It's an amazing program where they take young boys from 5 years old in kindergarten, and they mentor them through the age of 20, 21 when they graduate from college. And I say 21 because they're graduating in 2-3 years. They're doing amazing things with these boys, and it all started by 2 cops who decided they were sick of arresting them. They wanted to do something different. So they take them fishing, they take them hunting. You, as a parent, you basically sign as a mother, you sign your kid over to these males. And even in terms of discipline, you collaboratively discipline. So I had to agree that this man could whoop my child. Now it's hard for a woman, but I'm looking at you like, if you say so, I'm gonna trust you. He's like, trust the process. So I'm letting them whoop my kid because he acted out in school. Now what does that mean? So they start with them. You come in after school. They have like a enrichment program where they just talk about stuff that has nothing to do with school. They do their homework. They have dinner. They say grace. They pray, whatever. And then at 6:30, you're allowed to pick up your son. And it was life-changing for my son because you had a bunch of people telling him, you're going to do, you can do, you will do. So his confidence is through the roof. That changes for us as far as black males are concerned. The biggest thing that I see when I'm sitting there, and we had this young fathers program, and I wanted to go and shake this little black boy because he was sitting, and it was great. You're graduating. You decided that you wanted to be a parent, and so there we had a parenting class in the detention center. You're on the news. You did something amazing, and you had your head down. Like, stick your head up. And I told him, I was like, hold your head up, and if anybody ever tells you what you did was wrong or they make fun of you, you go back and tell them you couldn't do it. That's why you making fun of me. And he held his head up and finished the rest of the day. Now, to your point, I think that that's it. Like, if we don't all do this together, then we have completely left this community at a loss. So anything I can do, if you're looking for money, if you're looking for organizations to partner with. I just was on a plane telling the guy the same spiel I'm telling y'all. Older white gentleman, Republican. If you looked at it, we are completely juxtaposed in what he kept saying, what you would think. And I was like, you don't know me. He was like, I got money to put at this, and I got money to put at that, and I get sick of watching them arrest and do. And I was like, well, where's the money? He handed me his card at the end. He said, next time you get ready to do something, let me know. I was like, I'd like to see a young black male golf tournament. I like golf. He's like, well, let me know. I love golf too. So if you're thinking about ways to raise money and partnerships with other organizations, it's there. But sometimes we have to get out of our box and get past this stuff right here in order to see that we all are failing. We lost 2 deputies. We all cried. They were white men. I don't care. If you've ever buried, that's my second time burying in office. It didn't get easier from the time I was 21 until right now. I looked at that woman. I had to tell her her husband was not coming home. I never want to do that again. I never want to sit here and watch you. I'm about to cry listening to you talk about your baby. Same thing with you too. It's too much, y'all. So we have to be collective in our efforts. And that's my 2 cents. You were going to ask me a question.
When I came in, you were talking about programs with Dr. Frey. And I guess my question is, the age, where I am, I've been mandated to develop men.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different and it's difficult because I'm in a place where there's no process, procedure, there's no, and so I'm at ground zero, you know, and so I'm a person, like I've asked you for whether you have your opinion, and if you don't have one, I'm gonna go ahead and do it my way, but then I don't want your opinion. I just move out the way. But what you were describing were some of the things, the tools that I have. I have young men. I don't have young men who are, they're not violent, they're not, but they have no, I said this to them, the worst thing that happened to black people wasn't necessarily slavery. Was it horrible, bad? Yes, but the loss of identity destroyed black people. And so I have a group of young men who, they don't have identities. And so I need places that you're talking of, but I need them for students who are 8th grade. I have babies from 8th grade up to kindergarten. 8th grade down to kindergarten. And so I don't know if these programs that you're speaking of, the ones when I first came in, I don't know if they are for students that young.
So I told you my son started out at 13.
Correct.
At 8, and he started with them at 2013. So the things that we've put in place since then, and even with like Atlanta 100 Black Men and all those other ones, are designed for that second phase. You're great, we got kindergarten, we can handle y'all. But you're right, when it comes to the secondary level for men and women, we are derelict. I told them, I taught high school for 12 years. I told them the biggest gap in what we did really started in about the 6th grade until they got ready to, even when church is really not designed. You do really good with the babies, but once you get to the middles, there's nothing for them because you start to try to pacify them with stuff that's not age appropriate. These kids already know what sex is. So you really should start talking to them about that instead of coloring pictures of Jesus. I'm with you, but we got to progress. So I'm with you. There are programs. I got a couple of different people, some resources, especially if you talk to Noble Crawford from Hope Farm and talk about what they're doing with the kids at the high school. That's in Fort Worth. It's just outside of Dallas, on the other side of Dallas. That's a great resource for you. And what's not there, he just said it. Invent it. If you're talking about money, then we can find the resources. We have a foundation. There are tons of other foundations. And then you put your boots on the ground when you say men do it one way and women do another. Make them go find the money. But there's money there. If you want, the first thing I thought about when he said taking those kids fishing, he wanted to go to Florida. I said take them to Fort Worth. Number one, go look at Hope Farm while you're there. There's plenty of places. They go down to a dude ranch outside of Fort Worth. And they host them and house them. We got people with RVs that'll bring in a host. They can camp, they can do all kinds of things. So it's tons of other things to do, resources. We just have to collectively put our minds together to figure out what we want. And however we can support you, you have the Cobb County Sheriff's Office support. So, I mean, and I can say that confidently knowing that my boss is not even here watching me. He might see it on video, but I know his heart. So.
Do you have anything that support just as well little girls?
So I don't know. They started something called Pearls of Wisdom with the Hope Farm camp before I left. I do not know, but I can find out for you and see if Pearls of Hope ever really got started. It was the other guy's wife that was starting that program. I can't remember. But because I had a boy and I was a single parent of a boy, I was looking for something to save my own kid. I ain't gonna lie to you.
There's a lady named Dr. Andrea Lewis. We're going to call her before you leave. She's an orphan, but she works at Spelman, and she has stuff for little girls, and both successful and traumatic. Let's just call her before you leave.
I think, well, there are a couple of different programs that you can always come and volunteer for in the Sheriff's Office. The Chief Deputy is going to have to be the one to speak to those. But I think involving yourself in the Cobb County Sheriff's Office Foundation is a huge one. Partnering with that, I'm really more so not how y'all can help us, because we have a lot of community support, but it's more the how we can help the community. It is tragic, the relationship between police and the community. I grew up with both worlds. My son's father was a police officer. I've been around it forever. I grew up in the suburbs, but when I go back to Arkansas, it looked just like where she said you from. Where you? With somebody else talking about being from the hood. Arkansas ain't nothing but country hood. So there are things that we need to do more for you than what we need you to do for us. If you want to have us come in and talk to kids, we can arrange for that to happen. If you want, SWAT gear and stuff in the car, whatever you can think of that just makes them more realistic, then that would be great if you're talking about building relationship. But what we can do for you, to me, is far more important than what you can do for us. Sir.
Thank you again, and sorry about everyone's story. It's hard feeling to hear y'all stories, and but as far as you were concerned, as far as you said there's funding opportunities and stuff. Is that for profit organizations, or is it for entrepreneurship programs, stuff like that? Do y'all have anything that's like, let's say, proactive instead of reactive?
Work on the entrepreneurship thing. I have a contact. I can't think of her off the top of my head.
Okay.
That does mentoring for young entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And then, I got the perfect one for you. Just a one-off, one-off lady that's amazing.
Okay.
That just will kind of walk you through some of the things that she did. And she was telling my son, he programs. At first he didn't want to go to college, and now he wants to go to college. At first it really wasn't a big deal. She's like, well, he don't have to go. Let me work with him. So I think the same thing for those sorts of relationships, but getting people involved, man. Tell me what you need.
Okay.
And then we'll see if that contact doesn't work. We'll get you another one.
Okay.
Can I possibly get your contact information before we leave?
Yeah, sure.
I have a question. So I work in the construction field, so I'm superintendent and also builder, investor, and I see a big need for young men look like me, because they don't know how good that money is.
Right.
I write those checks, and if and I know a lot of people out there in my industry willing to come and teach the industry.
What's your name, sir?
Jay Vance.
So with that being said too, right now we partner with IBEW and a couple of other programs to teach construction inside the detention center. And once that person is released, they have a formidable trade and they're guaranteed $25 an hour or more once they leave. So when I leave here, I want your contact information because I got people that you can employ.
That's awesome.
Which also our goal was just I gave up my life. I tell y'all that I love this dude that I work for, but I was in Texas doing nothing. I didn't have to work at that point because I had worked hard enough when I was younger. So my house was paid for, my car was paid for, and my sister called me about this and I was job, and I was like, and then I started to look into who he was and what he was talking about, and I taught for 12 years, and I pipeline kids to prison. I'm not gonna lie to you. I get a kid to come in, he read like this. I know if you're in 9th grade and you can't read, it's done for you. They want you to take a test. You can't even read the math questions, let alone do the math. So if I'm looking at this situation and I know what you're headed for and up against, that I couldn't in good conscience just let it go. So when he started talking anti-recidivism, and then they started thinking about programming once I got here, because once he started talking about it, I was like, all right, I'm gone. Talked to my son, I was like, you want to move back to Atlanta? He said, yeah. We were gone. I got here, and then the program started rolling, and I got excited. Now it took us a year and a half to get here, but what this organization has been able to do in 20 months is short of staggering, outstanding, and unfathomable.
Wow.
Because it doesn't happen anywhere else in the country.
Wow.
If you say you got a job for somebody in construction, I'm standing here in this place, right? I know that I have people that can work for you and we're willing to partner. Where else is that happening? Let's march and fight. Y'all need to sit down. Nobody's saying what's the solution.
Yeah.
I got people in jail that's like my cousins, the same ones in Arkansas, who come out, $25 is so much money to them.
Right.
They never have to sell weed or whatever they sell again, because I can live off of $25 an hour. I can't live off of $10, $8 an hour. So whatever, again, we can do, let me know.
Absolutely, because I belong to a big organization of contractors, so what I don't have, I can make sure they get plugged in.
Awesome.
So.
Do you have do you also train people, or they have to come?
Well, that's what I'm looking to do. So I'm more looking. I know I'm not a big builder. I'm a small builder. I'm trying to get bigger. Right now, we try to buy 5 acres, so we're going to build tiny homes. So when that comes, then I'm going to be looking for a lot of people to clean up, security. So when I leave here, I'm going to look for land.
Can I have your number?
But what we're looking moreover, what we're looking for is a building somewhere so I can bring contractors in,
And see, that's what we
start
come in
teaching these guys.
Right, and over at Sweetwater Mission, we got a grant right now that we're trying to get a community center built in the back right there. And I think the Cobb County Sheriff Department is trying to be involved with this. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the grant. It should be, we'll know something in January. And we're gonna build out that building. We're gonna be training CNAs, contractors, you name it. We're gonna be doing it right there at Sweetwater Mission in our staff. And so that'll be a good contact.
It's a guy named Enrico Washington.
Okay.
He owns a pretty large construction firm too, and he does mentoring of youth as well. Just want to see what that partnership will look like. Definitely
Absolutely.
willing to partner. He's definitely willing to partner. But I think that'll be a good look for you too, and then you put a couple companies together and make a larger project and see how that works.
Because
He definitely already has the funding.
I do work for a huge company, a huge hedge fund company. I know a lot of different contractors right now, and some of these people are bleeding lately. They need good trained people that's going to show up and be on time and do what they said they're going to do.
That's the thing with the detention center program is just to mentor them to the place where they are formidable employees. Even in the program, they don't kick them out when they mess up. They spend time working with them to teach them to not
filling that gap.
Right. So if you have a timeliness issue, if you even had a lot of it is a marijuana issue because that's just so prevalent, but you can't do that and keep your trade. Let's figure out ways to help you get off of that, so that you can.
So you can pass the drug test.
Exactly.
That's what's up.
Well, that industry
It can change your life too.
Yeah, my industry did drug testing, so.
And a question for you, Mr. J. I know you said you're looking for land and stuff. Is there?
I've heard y'all stories, and y'all have some sad stories. And I see that y'all are very passionate about this, and I think y'all have a lot of success because y'all are all coming together, and y'all all are going to make a difference in somebody's life. Okay, like you were touching on, learning a trade, construction, plumbing, electrical, anything like that. When somebody takes everything away from you, you still have that. You still have that up here. You can always make money, or anything. If you and you have that wisdom, then you'll be set in life. But I wish y'all the best. I really do. And any way we can help, let us know.
Thank you, sir.
You have your cards also.
I don't have a card on me, but you can contact me through her. A lot of community events where they can come out and they can get in the back of the SWAT vehicles. They can try on all of our equipment, and we talk to them. They have questions. They want to know, hey, what do we do? And that engagement shows them we're not, rough and tough, and we're going to come and bust your door down kind of thing. Because that's what a lot of people have the mentality of. SWAT team's going to come in and bust your door down and all this.
Right.
We have hearts too, and the kids, they enjoy it. I mean, they love, jumping in the back of the SWAT truck as if they're,
So it's all about building trust then.
Building trust.
That's the key.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
An opportunity at this point in juncture to change the narrative.
Definitely.
So the way that we do that is rather than complaining about things, to take action. And instead of pointing at the police, be the police. Right now, realistically, your number one and number two law enforcement officials in this county are African American. This is the only place in America where all 5 of the largest counties in the area have African American leadership.
Wow.
The only place in the country.
Wow.
Now Charlotte Mecklenburg is coming, and you would have thought Washington D.C. would have done it already because of their demographic, but they have not. You are an exemplar to the rest of the country. That being said, we have our kids that are still afraid of the police.
Yeah.
I can say some things that I won't say on camera
You want
with
us to turn
regard
it
to
on?
how it really functions.
You want us to turn it
How
on?
it really functions.
Turn the cameras off?
Yeah, we can turn it
100.
So I've served in the jail for 7 years. I've had plenty of opportunities to talk to people, and most of the people at the jail are actually really good people. They were just in the wrong place, wrong time, hanging out with the wrong people. And I think that what they were lacking was a role model, was somebody to take them under their wing, because them not having that, they seeked for it and they found the wrong role model. That's right. And they learned that that's basically the normal. That's how they survive. That's right. And I think that if the community, and especially y'all are doing a great thing, taking these young bucks under your wing and showing them, hey, this is how you can do, and the sky's the limit.
I like that. I like that. Thanks. I'm fairly new at this, but what's kind of has me puzzled is I think everybody is afraid of the other person. In other words, they have guns a lot larger than your guns.
Yes.
Right.
In communities is mental health.
Yeah.
If I'm angry, I feel I have the right to shoot you. That is a mental health issue, whether we want at its most basic level. 85% of the people incarcerated in the Cobb County jails, Cobb County Detention Center right now, have some sort of mental health issue, and we've left that unaddressed. What we do have is a 24-hour crisis team. We have 24-hour psychiatric care. You can get back on your meds if you have extreme cases and those sorts of things. But within our community, especially among our children, mentoring and helping them deal in crisis prevents and circumvents mental health crisis. I'm no longer the angry little kid. I'm an angry adult with a gun. How do you get that? How do you prevent that from happening? I stem the tide of angry little kids, where I feel like life isn't just and unfair, and then I'm going to be a mass shooter. So all of those things are, to me, issues that we don't really address at the community level, because you let that isolated lone wolf really be an isolated lone wolf when you knew he was not really competent and coherent and was insular. prior to the incident. So all those things to me would be greater addressed in these sorts of forums. I know I have a mentor that I can talk to. I know I have a community place and community center that I can go to. And this is not a black-white issue. It's not a brown issue. It is an issue that is in every community, in every place, in this, especially post-COVID. These kids are super isolated. These adults are super isolated. And as you're isolated and you live your life with this phone, it's telling you everything you want to hear because it's an algorithm that tells you everything you want to hear. There's no other opinion and voice of reason. To me, that's what I think is the bigger issue in community and lacking in mentoring relationships.
And you said mental health. You said that was one. You said you have two.
He addressed the other one.
Okay,
He
perfect.
addressed the other one. Yep.
Role models and mental health.
Yeah. I didn't know that it was even possible. I didn't even know it was even possible. The difference between me and my cousins is exposure. I've been all over the world, and I had some cousins that never left Arkansas.
That's it.
I do have a question. And what being an entrepreneur since 2012, before going back into the workforce, still being an entrepreneur, I found that in Atlanta, people don't want to see you succeed more than they are. So they won't give you the necessary tools, but they'll take your resources. So what is out there for young adults that...
Not much.
Not a lot.
But I mean, serious, outside of therapy, because in our communities, therapy is a taboo. And I think that's bull. I think we all, because our wombs are stemmed from youth. We are all dealing with some type of trauma. It doesn't matter what our colors are. We have all experienced some form of a trauma in our youth, and we grow up to be that angry adult. There has to be some form of, like you said, if it's not built, we need to build it.
Facts.
For our young adults and our adults, our men and our women, to have these mentors or mentees that, like the Dr. Franks and the police chiefs and, whatever that looks like, the construction, that can mentor even adults, because it's not all children. Children are not the only ones pulling the guns. They're the ones dying from them.
Wow.
But we're giving them to them because we're afraid. We're afraid to do the time. So we're going to call our children to do the crime. So where do we go when we have us? What can we do? What can we build for us?
Well, one of the things, can I say, one of the things...
Quick, 9 months later, I was in business with $96. How did I do it? I got a 10,000 square foot warehouse with a couple of $1 million in inventory in there. But how did I do it? How did a little boy that was molested at 8 years old and 13, was going to commit suicide and ended up going to college because one of my molesters talked me into going to college. And I was good. And I kept dealing with how do I teach it now? And I teach economics. I teach economics. I had them as low as 5 and 6 years old. We're going to get there. And it doesn't matter what race of people you are. You got economics has nothing to do with color and nothing. So we're going to take evil and we're going to rip evil up. It's just a matter of time and getting together and teaching how the mind works and why kids want to rob, kill, and destroy. Why do they want to do that? And once we figure that out, well, we don't have to figure it out. I want to save some of these kids before they get jacked up. So we got to do it economically. And there's a way, and Dr. Frank can tell you, we're working together to help this young man.
Yes, sir.
It's happening. We're doing the right things at the right time. That's been changing the world.
As you speak, our job is never done. I'm working at Sweetwater Mission. I'm an in-house minister. So I touch basic with people of all walks of life. And I do mentoring program. Now, I went back to school and got my life coach. I'm certified professional. And so life coach deal with the right now. We don't deal with the past. We set short-term goals and balance your life and what are you doing and try to find out how we can bring it out of you right now. Now, I'm hearing people out post-COVID, people going through. I'm telling you, all walks of life, white people, black people, they're going through. The lines and demographics change. One time you would see poor people in the line getting food. Now you see anybody in the line right now getting food, and it don't matter the color. And so one executive director told me that somebody came to her and said, "Hey, somebody in the back of the line, and they got they driving a Mercedes." She said that could be she might have boarded that Mercedes. You never know. Why look at the Mercedes? Look at the need, and that's why we got to have empathy on people. And so I think that everybody can do a part in what's going on. If you know something, and everybody can point the finger and see the problem, but I'm like, where's the solutions? And so that's what we need. We need to come up with solutions of the problems and sit down and then do them, man. Then go out into the neighborhoods in the hood. Like Dr. Frank and the Force of One, we started going out into the neighborhood and set up a tent and teach them about entrepreneurship.
There we go.
Teach them about how to build, create a business.
Yeah.
We got to go out there and do it.
Yeah. My father said before we left each other and on the phone, I love you, son, and you're gonna change the world someday. And that's what helped me not slip my wrist when I heard my father's voice saying you're gonna change the world someday. So we need to start telling these young men. I told them, saying, you're gonna change the world someday. Tell these young folks, you're gonna change the world. It's your job to change the world. It's your job, you young folk, to change the world.
That's right.
They ain't gonna be, us older people ain't gonna change it for you. You got to change the world someday.
ABC, the first thing we have to do is A, we have to learn how to take action. So that's why it's so important for us to be able to help the young people realize, understand who they are. And once they know who they are, they be able to take action. That's the first thing. Then they have to believe in themselves. They have to believe in themselves. They have to believe that they can do something. Because you can do anything to make your mind become nothing more powerful than make your mind. And then the C, you got to be able to be consistent. Because too many people that start something, they stop. They start something, they stop. You have to be able to see it through. You got to be consistent. You're not going to do too much if you're not consistent. You're not going to see results overnight. Things don't happen overnight. They happen over time. And so you got to be. So you have to learn the ABC. You operate in the ABC. You'll change the world. You'll change the world. Period.
And I also got everybody got a donation to give to me, hip hop, food, all this.